Good morning. It's 9 o'clock. It's Thursday, November the 5th, 2015. Welcome to the November meeting of the Riverfront Design Committee. May we have roll call, please?
Paul Dedman.
Present.
Anthony Blatt.
Here.
Brian Doherty. Here. Scott Howard. Here. John Joyce.
Here.
Don Kasperite. Jillian Robles. Here. Richie Splitt. Here. And David Jost. Here. You have a quorum.
Thank you very much. First item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of our meeting on September the 3rd of this year. You had the minutes in your packet. Does anyone have any questions, changes, comments? Otherwise, we'll entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Joyce, seconded by Mr. Blatt. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Item 3, cases withdrawn. There are none. Item 4, continuance requests. There are none. Item 5, consent docket. No items. Item 6, we have one item, 6A, item SRCA-15 00017 at 1701 Exchange Avenue. Is the applicant present? Good morning. Sorry.
I'm all good.
Would you please state your name for the record, please?
My name's Gary Jewell. I'm project manager of capital improvements for Oklahoma City Public Schools.
Do you have any comments with regard to your application other than what's been presented?
Well, we're in need of additional classroom space at Westwood Elementary, and we're going up for another bond issue next year. But timing-wise, we're just busting at the seams right now at that school, and we'd like to set in another 2 classrooms of a portable annex building. It's a brand new building. We set 2 of them there about a year and a half ago.
Right.
And they're very nice looking buildings. They're brand new. We're trying to keep it a nice look, and we're just at the mercy of you guys allowing us to do this one more time.
So is the intention when you have this bond issue that all 4 of these classrooms will be removed and replaced by permanent structures?
That is our plan. We've had to, over the last year, put in about 52, 54 classrooms of portable annex buildings. Originally in the 01 MAPS renovation, the plan was to do away with all annexes, and we did away with hundreds of them, actually. We did a lot of classrooms. We did away with the 01 bond. Even in the 07 bond, we built another 52 classrooms, gymnasiums, and everything. We're still in the process of finishing up that bond. But with the overpopulation that has come in the last 5 years, our crystal ball didn't work quite well enough to get all the rooms that we needed. So that's what we're going for in 16 is additional classrooms, schools to take care of the overcrowding and get rid of the annexes again.
Okay, thank you very much. Do you have any comments from the staff?
No, you've received the staff report if you had any questions. We included, not only do we have the pictures of the current ones that are on the property, but they included drawings, same drawings they turned in before, which indicates that it'd be the same exact building that they're proposing to put, and where they're proposing to put it would be the picture on the left where you see the ends of those.
Right.
This structure would be running, I guess, the opposite direction, perpendicular to those, in front and kind of in front of the one on the left. And the stairs that are in between would be extended to connect with the stairs and the platform into the new building.
Yeah, it has aluminum walkway that we have between the 2 buildings right now that has an ADA ramp at one end and stairs at the other. And what we'll do is we'll take the stairs off the one end, we'll extend that walkway coming on down through those buildings that are there now, turn it in front of the one we're going to put in, then we'll put the steps back on, so we'll still have all the ADA, of course, it's near and dear to me right now, and capabilities on it, and a second egress of stairs.
Any members of the committee have any comments?
Yeah, I have some comments. So, Gary, how many schools would you say that we have on the elementary schools on the south side of town? Dozens of them, right?
That what?
How many elementary schools, Oklahoma City public schools on the south side of town?
We have approximately 25 elementary
Right.
schools, probably.
And how many portable buildings are scattered through all those different schools?
Most of them, we pulled them out. Last year, we did put, at the elementary schools, there was 6 sites that we put annexes in. Almost all the schools on the south side, though, we had pulled out all the old annexes, the ones back in '95. They were put in some of the ones that had asbestos in them. We eliminated probably 90% of the ones that were there before.
Well, this is my point, is that we have all these schools, and of those schools, how many of them are in a design district? And I'm going to say, a fraction of those, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, to me, it's kind of like everything that you said, if we were talking about, and I realize that this is kind of going against, the way we voted last time, which I kind of had a little trouble with, but the more I think about this, it's not like, we're talking about Godebo, Oklahoma or something where there's one school and that's all that there is, and by God, we need another classroom there to fit some kids. We got schools all over the south side of town, and this school is in a design district. And there's a reason that we're meeting here today. It's because we've kind of designated this area as something that's just not the ordinary part of town. It's one that we're putting a little special attention to. And I can't really agree with putting up portable classrooms at this one. It's like the way I'm seeing it, I'm this oversimplifying, I'm sure, but let's put an extra classroom at XYZ or ABC or whatever one there is, a quarter mile down the road, but this one is in our design district. It's special, and I have a problem with, not treating it that way. I drove here on the way here. I went by Edgemere Elementary School and Wilson Elementary School, which are schools where the neighborhoods take a lot of kind of pride in the appearance of the school. There's no portable buildings. I know that maybe the demand's not as great there, but I just kind of have a hard time believing that this is the only answer.
Well, right now, and it's a cost deal also. We only buildings we can do is pass bond issues. Even all the gymnasiums that we're having to turn into safe rooms now, in the original 07 bond, they weren't supposed to be safe rooms. We've had to dig deep into deep pockets to make those all into safe rooms now, and we have to do the gyms. That's part of the mandated of the 07 bond. But we have to do those in safe rooms now because of the new Oklahoma City ordinances. Now, Westwood originally was slated to close. It didn't make it in the 01 Maps for Kids renovation because it originally was slated to close. But the neighborhood and everybody came together. The school did real well. They decided to keep it open. Now, in the 16 bond that we're going for, that school will be renovated. That time it'll be renovated. It'll get the gymnasium. It'll get safe rooms. The annexes will go away. But there's, we're stuck to the fact of what we can do financially. And with the annexes, we can do them in probably a third of the time we can do new buildings, and we can do it for about half the cost. But the thing is, and that's why we're trying to do these nice. We're not just sticking some old metal building that we've had sitting. We've got plenty of old buildings sitting at our service center up there that they were made in 1995, that been painted a few times, they're kind of ratty looking and everything else. And we've got those there, and it wouldn't cost us a dime for that building. Instead, we're going to spend $70-something thousand for a brand new building, and we're going to sit out there to make it look nice. We're not doing metal sided, we're doing the cement fiber type board on the outside of it. It does have the metal roof on it, but you really can't even see the roof because of the pitch on it. They're very nice looking buildings. The aluminum walkways are very nice. They're well built, structural. And so
okay, I believe everything that you're saying, but I guess this is kind of my point. Is it so? How is the student population at a school set? Is it just by the parents that sign up for that school that want to send their kids to that school, or is
it's the district? It's there's without redistricting each school, the district there's their boundaries.
Okay.
That goes to the place goes down to 22nd Street and it goes up to the river or I-40. I don't know exactly what the boundaries of that
okay,
school
but to take some kids from that district and send them to another school is a deal. Is what
well,
you're
the
saying.
problem is also to the next closest school to there is Jackson Elementary. Jackson Elementary is not one of our actual core schools. It's kind of an enterprise school, so it's completely kind of a different setup too. And Columbus was closed again, you get a lot of political ramifications of what was done, how it was done, and everything else. Our plan is to redo Columbus completely too. Once that happens also, that's the next closest one. There's like 24th and Penn. They're about a mile apart from each other. Once that one's done and done bigger than what it was before, and that one had, I mean, you talk about some ugly annexes that had out there. It had about 20 annexes, and they were the old ones. We got rid of all of those. And so we are trying, trust me, but it's a time and it's a money issue. And all we're asking for is, a little bit of leniency here and there. We're trying to make it better, and that is our plan.
Okay. Any other comments from committee members?
Mr. Joel, can you speak to any plans that you may know of about future school development in that area that could realign some of that district and possibly move some of that student population to new schools?
Well, again, a lot of this stuff what the realignment and what they're doing is well over my pay grade. But they are looking all the time at the redistricting. Like I said, we don't want annexes. Trust me, that's the last thing. We even looked at the fact of maybe doing something different because even our high schools in that area, Capitol Hill and Grant, I mean, I put in these big annexes. There are 12 classrooms at each one of those schools. And I mean, we squeezed them in tight, and they're the same type of building. They're a nice-looking building, but they're still a portable building. And we put sprinklers in them and everything else because of the size and everything. And so they're very nice, but those schools are just really busting the seams. And until we get another bond issue passed where we can build a complete structure, or unless we close down and not let anybody else move into the south side of Oklahoma City, we're just at the mercy of they don't stop moving in.
I just have a question, and I'm not sure what the answer is. I know on that last time we had a condition about the crepe myrtles, and then the crepe myrtle, well, it still shows up again in landscaping, kind of going to where John was going about. It's a design district. I'm not in favor of just putting in more things to see them die and all. I don't know if there's a solution. I think Oklahoma City Schools is doing a lot better job keeping things mown and looking clean around the campuses, but I don't think we can just overlook this. So I'm not sure what the solution is. I mean, to me, crepe myrtle is a very easy plant to establish and to get going. So then you're kind of like, okay, is there no commitment? Because I think the way it was last time, that was one of the conditions, and then it says subsequently crepe myrtles were planted, but they did not survive. So now we're talking the same footprint, we're talking kind of the same condition, but we're not really talking about the crepe myrtles or whatever. So, and I don't know that it's right for us just to overlook the landscape and say, okay.
And we don't mind doing it. I mean, again, we did last time, Brian. I've got pictures I brought with me to show that they were planted. I don't know if they just died from not being taken care of well, or somebody decided, those look nice, we could use them at our house, and they picked them. I don't know the situation. As far as the code requirement through City of Oklahoma City, because of the square footage of foundations we have, it's not required at any points of landscaping, and that's why if any of the other double wides like we've done here, but they have not required us to have any. Now at Capitol Hill and Grant, because of the footprint that were and the amount of foundations, we were required, I think it was like 56 points at each location there, and we put them in. They have survived, and if you require it, we don't mind doing it. It's just at the mercy of there's no sprinkler system. If I start adding cost in for sprinkler system, there's an added cost that we're putting in for something that's a temporary deal. So I mean, we'll do what you ask us to do, but what happens with it, I can't guarantee on that part, the landscaping.
How does the staff feel about this? Because that was a condition, so, and here it references the landscape. So since it's in the scenic overlay, would it require it, the landscape?
Yeah, landscaping is not specifically required as per the scenic river, but it was a condition of the committee. Again, as Mr. Joyce was pointing out, that this is a design district, and perhaps minimum requirements don't always cut it in design districts. But that said, I can't speak, like I agree with you, we don't want dead landscaping.
We're not into wasting the money. We're not into doing that if we felt, but I don't think we can sit there and not address that, because that was a condition of the first thing, and we're not even to our 5 years, and here we're kind of the same footprint, and we're asking again. So I just think we just need to be aware of whichever way we're going to go on it.
And Mr. Doherty, I did bring some pictures. It's not actual good pictures of the landscape. It was more pictures showing that we did the concrete sidewalk, but the plants are in the background of it, just to show we did do it the first time with great intentions of honoring everything that was asked for at this board. So.
And one thing I'll point out, as you can tell with the picture on the right, no amount of landscaping will screen them. So, you know, there's nothing wrong with putting landscaping. It would enhance it, but not, I mean, if your idea is, well, we're going to landscape them so you can't see them, we really can't do that. Yes, we could, but it would take a lot.
I was really thinking back, that was driven by part of the requirement, and that we were trying not to avoid the requirements.
Mr. Blatt, did you have a question?
If approved, how quickly would these be installed?
Say that again.
If approved, how quickly would these be installed?
I've already submitted for the building permit. Everything has been approved, minus the fact of I have to have third-party inspections from once the buildings are built, because the building's not built yet. I have not literally ordered the building yet until I met with you guys, and you guys gave me approval.
I was just thinking about the fact that we're in November, and November is going to be really kind on plants that go in today. If this was really installed in August of 2014, that's like a brutal time to put something in, and if it wasn't cared for, it could be gone in 2 weeks. And I don't know if that was the case, but I tend to agree. I think that this is just a short-term measure, and it's a little bit inevitable. But I think that it has to respect the fact of where it is. So maybe some concessions would allow, some concessions on the requirements of the district could be accounted for with maybe a little bit of an extra effort with respect to a little bit of amenities, and landscaping is one of them. I do think that the landscaping should be put in. I think the landscaping should be put in based on the footprint of the previous and the new. We're not just talking about the new. I think that it should be put in for what's there, existing non-compliant, and what's being proposed, and it should be done in a manner that there's at least a plan to maintain it.
And when we did, we put hose bibs in on those buildings, so they would have a way to water those. Of course, you know, and
sure.
And you know, and our whole plan, and I tell these guys, you know, you have to take care of this stuff, and because, you know, I oversee a bunch of different schools. We have 90 schools in the district. We have projects going on, and this is one that I'm handling right now of many. And so we have people there. And if you guys require this, I will tell them as most ability that these got to live this time. But I'm sorry that they didn't make it the first time.
Okay, would someone care to make a motion?
I'll move for approval, contingent upon the fact that landscaping will be replaced that was lost,
okay,
and an equivalent proportional amount of landscaping will be installed. I think the crepe myrtles that were initially proposed is acceptable.
I think it was 4 per building, wasn't it?
And contingent upon the fact that this is valid for the same 5 years that the previous was.
Okay.
Motion by Mr. Blatt. Is there a second to that motion? Seconded by Mr. Yost. Excuse me. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much for your time. The next item, other business, 7A, SPUD 00855 at 1301 Southwestern Avenue. Good morning.
Good morning. David Box, 522 Colcord Drive, here on behalf of the applicant. Also with me is Blair Humphreys. This is a SPUD to permit the Ferris wheel. It's a bit of a unique case coming to you in that we do already have our revocable permit issued from the city. We also have design approval from this committee back in May, but it was determined by the staff that our use didn't comply with their current zoning, and so in order to allow this to be built, we need to put forth this SPUD to go from here to then Planning Commission, ultimately to City Council, to allow us to pull building permits to get built. Happy to answer any questions. We do agree with the condition in the SPUD that we retain the Scenic River designation in our SPUD. And Blair is here if you'd like to ask any questions about the overall project.
David, could you affirm that the design is exactly the same as the committee last saw it, except there's been a little bit more development on the light scheme?
I'll let Blair address that.
Well, what you see there is the ramp system and more or less entrance gateway for loading. I don't think that was fully fleshed out the last time we were here. Well, I guess it speaks for itself, a gateway with a small sign above indicating that that's the entrance to the Ferris wheel. It has 2 operator booths, one for a ticket taker and one for a person to actually run the Ferris wheel. Includes both steps and an ADA ramp. And will sit kind of up on top of a raised level that helps to create safe access to the Ferris wheel.
But we're not approving that today. It'll come back.
As I understood it, it was no. That's not a. There's all we're approving is the spud use.
Right.
So more or less the same design, the same intent. Everything remains the same. There continues to be refinements to it, but it's not anything that raises to the level of design review. And I'll tell you, this is really just about getting a permit pulled. And so we got hung up on this and thought we had an understanding as to the revocable providing for the authority to move forward on it. Later understood that we needed to come in with a spud in order to make sure that everything, we had all our T's crossed and all our I's dotted. So that's why we're here.
Thank you. Questions, anyone from the committee?
I just had one quick question. The lighting is just decoration around
the lighting is, it's the same LED light package. I think I showed a video the last time I was here. It's the same LED light package that was discussed previously. We have, it's a 20-spoke wheel that includes another set of 20 false spokes. It's similar in size and in the lights to what you'd see at either the Santa Monica wheel currently or even the Frontier City wheel on 44. And so that's the type of lighting that the wheel produces. There's been some conversation about how that'll be used. It's for light shows, and it doesn't have the ability, because of its radial format, to really do much beyond that.
yeah, I just want to make sure it's not for signage or, promotional things aside from color.
No, there's a very small piece in the center that has because of the nature of the wheel, has denser pixels, and you could try to pull something off there. It's about 6 feet in total diameter on the hub of the wheel. And we'll use that more or less for information related to the wheel.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
So you all are in compliance with what the staff recommendation are? You're fine with the staff recommendation?
Yes.
As it's written?
Yes.
I'd just like to formally thank you both for staying within the district. I know that a lot of the initial authoring of SPUDs that would come before us specifically requested to be removed from the district, and that was a big, passionate plea. And so I appreciate that this new precedent is now coming in and would like to see it held as we go forward.
And I'll just say as a comment on that, this SPUD is, we really intend that as we work with the city and get our larger plan in place, that our PUD would actually replace this SPUD element. And we fully intend that both now and in the future that the riverfront will absolutely remain in the Scenic River Design District. And then intend to work with you very specifically, making sure we all have a collaborative approach to understanding what spaces need design review and where it's very important that we continue to have that civic input, and what parts as we get farther back, maybe into the interior of the neighborhood, maybe provide just more of kind of an everyday way where we have an agreement as to what's appropriate, and it doesn't require necessarily as much process in order to pull those through. So.
Thank you. Any other comments? Anyone else have any comments? Stop. We'd entertain a motion bearing in mind that this is a recommendation to the Planning Commission. Anyone care to make a motion?
Yes, I'll make a motion that we recommend approval to the Planning Commission to change from R1 zoning to SPUD.
Moved by Mr. Yost, seconded by Mr. Doherty. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you for your time.
And just to, and you were saying as recommended by staff so that it stays in the Scenic River?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I thought that's what I heard you say.
Thank you. Thank you. The next item on our agenda is 7B. In your packet is the 2016 schedule of meetings. If you've had a chance to review that, does anyone have any questions? Do we formally have to approve this, I assume, do we? Anyone care to make a motion?
Motion to approve the 2016 meeting schedule for the Riverfront Design Committee.
Moved by Ms. Robles. Any second? Excuse me. Moved, seconded by Mr. Howard. All those in favor? Aye. Thank you. The next item on our agenda is election of officers, and the first one is the election of a chair. I'd like to say I have been chair of this committee since its inception, and I'm not sure how many years I have left, but I think it's probably appropriate that someone else take the chair. So with that in mind, does anyone have motions for the chair? Who will occupy the chair?
Would you be in favor?
I'll chair. How much time do I have left? No, it doesn't work that way.
David, John, Tony, Paul, and Brian are about on the same term schedule. You're in your last terms, and everybody else is one or more behind that.
I think it would be good to rotate the chair on a regular, so I don't mind taking the chair and then knowing that I'll be excommunicated at a soon and later date. I apologize. Could you hear everything I said? I'll accept.
A motion from Ms. Robles. Is there a second? Mr. Doherty, was that a second? Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Okay. The next item is the election of a vice chair. And anyone have any nominations in that regard? Bearing in mind that, as was just stated, a fair number of us will be rotating off at the same time, it might be appropriate to have someone who's going to be around somewhat longer. Well, John also, John's not part.
John is in his last term.
Oh, John is in his last term, excuse me. Okay. So, who's making the motion?
I will make the
Motion by Mr. Doherty that Mr. Scott Howard be the vice chair. Is there a second? Second by Ms. Robles. All those in favor? Aye. Yeah. That was easy, wasn't it? Thank you very much. Next item is 8, communications. A, administrative approval report. We have 7 of those items. The first one is SRCA 130031 at 700 Southeast 6th Street. Second one is SRCA 140002 at 800 Southeast 6th Street. Third one is SRCA 15 at 00013 at 1513 Exchange Avenue. The fourth is SRCA-15 at 431 Southwest 11th Street. The fifth is SRCA-15 at 1203 Southwest 2nd Street. The sixth is SRCA 15 at 00015 at 1203 Southwest 2nd Street. And the last one is SRCA 15 00016 at 1211 Southwest 2nd Street. Does anyone have any comments or questions of staff with regard to those? If not, are there any comments from the planning staff?
I think it's on everybody's calendars. December 11th is our next commission training event. Similar to last year, but always improving on it, so please plan to come. I don't remember if the invitation says it starts at 8 or 8:30. The program will begin at 8:30, but coffee is available starting at 8, and there'll be lunch.
Thank you. Any comments from committee members?
Does the change in chairmanship take place at the end of the year or immediately?
At the next meeting.
At the next meeting? Well, if that's the case, I'd certainly like to commend Paul for the outstanding job he's done for the last several years. He's been our chairman from the beginning, and he's done, I think, a marvelous job, and I hope we all appreciate it.
Thank you very much. I just wish we would all meet more frequently. But anyway, thank you. The next meeting is December the 3rd. Are there any? There are some items for the agenda, so we will be having a meeting. Okay, good. Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Blatt, seconded by Mr. Split. All those in favor? Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you very much.